What's up, Taiwan? I'm Yvonne with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The race to be Taiwan's next president has taken a significant turn after two parties' candidates agreed to run together. The KMT's Hou You-yi and Taiwan People's Party's Ke Wen-je will form a joint ticket for the January vote, a move that threatens the ruling DPP's grip on power. Stash Baller reports.
A show of unity between Taiwan's two most powerful opposition parties after a last-minute deal that transforms the country's presidential race. Taiwan's century-old Kuomintang, or KMT, has agreed to fight January's election alongside political newcomers, the Taiwan People's Party. Their two candidates joined on a single ticket.
今天我们都在写台湾的历史，不单是第三波民主改革而已。我们这一次的联合竞选，到未来要组联合政府，都能够让台湾汇集更多的力量，让这个社会变得更好。
For weeks, Hou You-yi of the KMT and Ke Wen-je, the maverick founder of the Taiwan People's Party, have been fighting a fractured campaign, their division risking defeat in a four-way race.
Fears of splitting the opposition vote are what brought the two parties here to hammer out a last-minute agreement. That's after weeks of back and forth and meetings with no concrete result.
Now they've agreed to unite, Ke and Hou pose a serious challenge to the ruling party candidate, current Vice President Lai Ching-te of the DPP. He's led opinion polls for months, but those polls also suggest he'd lose to a united opposition.
The polling suggests that the cumulative sum of the supporters of Hou You-yi and Ke Wen-je would support the ticket, minus only a small percentage point, 1 or 2 points.
The new coalition still needs to announce which candidate will run for president and which for vice president. An order, they say, will be based on who's doing better in the polls. But regardless of the lineup, the joint ticket deal is a boost for Taiwan's opposition and a blow for the ruling party's chances of holding on to power. Patrick Chen and Stash Butler in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The ruling Democratic Progressive Party has revealed its list of at-large legislative candidates for January's election. Topping the list is Lin Yueqing, the head of a child protection NGO, followed by Puma Shen, who chairs the Doublethink Lab and is known for his work on China's information warfare. Incumbent legislative speaker You Xi-kun is on the list too. Taiwan citizens will vote for lawmakers alongside the president in January. Aside from their local representative, voters also cast ballots for political parties, which get seats based on the number of votes received. Those seats are given to candidates on the at-large list. Authorities in Taiwan are taking a close look at the travel expenses of local politicians ahead of the upcoming presidential and legislative elections. The Interior Ministry is looking at neighborhood chiefs who have visited China in recent years, in particular those that spend far beyond their reported income. They're investigating whether China used these trips to try and influence Taiwanese politicians or buy votes. Authorities say they will approach the issue on a case-by-case basis. It comes as Taiwan works to stop election interference.
前几天都抓了蛮多的一个旅游贿选哈，但是确实哦，针对这个境外，尤其到境外哈，做这种这个贿选的一个行为的话，确实比较难查一点啊，这个要从各个面向来突破。
Nursing groups are protesting a plan to make the nursing license exam easier. The government says it wants to ease Taiwan's nursing shortage. But nurses and other medical professionals say this will keep wages down and make new staff underqualified. John Van Trieste has the story.
Taiwan's nurses are angry. They've been calling for better, safer conditions, but today they have new grievances. Firstly, the government wants to deal with a nursing shortage by making it easier to get a nursing license. The idea is to make one of the harder parts of the exam, basic medicine, count for less in the final score. Nurses have been leaving the profession, especially since the trying times of the COVID-19 pandemic. But those who've stayed on say lowering the bar will let in people who are less competent and depress wages. And there's another point of contention. The government's been opening new training schools for medical workers to fill the gaps. At this protest outside the legislature, nurses and their allies in the medical profession, doctors, dentists, and pharmacists, say the focus should instead be on making conditions better to keep experienced staff, and so those who've quit are tempted to come back.
政府单位能注重一下我们这个医护环境的状况，希望我们让我们医护这工作环境可以变好，让我们这些原本流失的医护可以回到原本的工作。
Taiwan's health ministry says it's important to have enough nurses.
医事人员那到底是要多少？这是要随着需求这样去做评估的啦。
It also says the recruitment of nurses is one of many issues, like nurses training, that officials need to sit down and talk over with those in the profession. But nurses and other medical workers are still unhappy, and they plan to protest at the presidential office on Sunday. Chris Ma and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Supreme Court has definitively put to rest a case against 7 people who helped lead a student movement to occupy the country's cabinet building in 2014. The court said there was no standing for the lawsuit and refused to hear the case brought by the then Chief Taipei prosecutor Jiang Huimin. Jiang accused the Sunflower Movement student activist of inciting the public to invade the government building. The court previously rejected the case in 2021, but Jiang tried to bring it back using a special appeal process. Labor rights activists and unions in Taiwan are calling on the government to increase employers' mandatory pension contributions. That comes as the country heads toward a super age society in 2025. Rick Glauer reports.
Living expenses, medical fees, and utility bills. Activists outside Taiwan's cabinet building show the financial pressures piling on top of retirees in the country, which is why they're asking the government to raise the amount private companies have to contribute to employees' pensions.
未来你一定生活一定，没办法，就说没办法支付未来的退休生活所必须支应的一些费用。
With people living longer and fewer Taiwanese having children, Taiwan is fast becoming a super-aged society. By 2025, more than 20% of the population will be aged over 65. These labour rights activists say upping pension contributions is the best way to protect this vulnerable sector of society, crucial for Taiwan as it faces up to the challenges of a super-aged population. The law currently says employers must pay 6% of workers' salaries into pension pots. But the government says that number is just a baseline.
我们其实是很希望说企业的获利能够由劳资共享，就是如果企业有获利，那劳资双方其实可以协商议定优于法令的提缴率，就是高于6%的部分。
Taiwan's mandatory private sector employer pension contributions are comparable to neighbours South Korea at 4.5% and Japan at 8.7%. But labour rights activists say the government should be doing more to protect pensions as wages stagnate and the cost of living rises.
I think there is a misconception that Taiwan is a cheap and low-cost country, but when you compare with other advanced countries, Taiwan's housing prices are one of the highest in the world, especially in Taipei. Taiwan's grocery prices are not actually cheap. They are actually as expensive as Japan right now.
National elections are just around the corner here in Taiwan. The cost of living, stagnating wages, and how to deal with an ageing population are not just daily concerns for Taiwanese, but also hot political topics. Now, the country's labour unions protesting here say it's time for action to alleviate some of the pressure put on workers as they face an uncertain future. Andy Xue and Rick Glauert for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, have a look at these restored stained glass windows in Havana, Cuba. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.